Use your powers for evil,
Your evil is mine.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Next Stop Everywhere, your podcast all about Doctor Who, his companions, his shades, his TARDIS. Who knows what we'll get into? I am one of your hosts, Jesse Jackson, and joining me alongside the console today is Charles Skaggs. Hey, Charles.
Hey Jesse, how are you today? It's been
I am
so
great.
long. It's been so long since we've talked.
I was just going to make that same joke.
Beat you to it.
Yes, indeed. You're probably, if you have not listened to the previous episode, stop, go listen to it, and come back. We had a little bit just delay, so we are doing a Zygon doubleheader.
Yep.
Tonight,
and it makes perfect sense because the Zygons are there's usually like the Zygon and the person they're duplicating, so we have like duplicating episodes.
Well, I was thinking it's the red box and the blue box episodes.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Which is even great, right?
So these episodes are the Osgood boxes.
They are the Osgood boxes. So I am on record talking about that I am not always a fan of two-parters, but this is...
Take a drink.
Yes, this is a great second half. I think this story was big enough that justified the two parts in scope and in themes, and this is hard to say because I think you're the true you are kind of the our Who czar, so you should make these pronouncements, not I. But
well, I just take it for granted.
Yeah,
it's a given.
You mentioned earlier that one of the episode, the two-parter in this season, you think was the first true classic Capaldi that you go, okay, this is up against all the history. This one I think is pretty close if it isn't.
I totally agree.
Okay.
I say so far that we've had 4 stories this season. I'd say the Zygon two-parter and the Dalek Davros two-parter with Missy. Those two are the strongest of the season so far, in my opinion.
Well, I would agree. I would give the Zygons a little higher rating, and because the ending of this one really touched me. I had allergies. I had a little misty-eyed in this one. This was just they did a great job setting up in the first episode, and they delivered on this one. And I was just really happy with everything. So
they stuck the landing as far as you're concerned.
Oh, absolutely. I think they brought it up to 11 on a scale 1 to 10.
Well, now we know Jesse's rating. It's an 11.
Yes. This is actually Spinal Tap's rating, right? That's in the spirit of the Doctor playing the guitar. Absolutely great. This was just absolutely wonderful. Your thoughts? You've kind of already said you think it's a classic, but
yeah,
yes.
I think it was a great episode. I actually like this one just a tad less than the first part.
Oh, how interesting.
But I still enjoyed it quite a bit. There's a lot to really like about this episode, particularly the Doctor's speech toward the end. Great stuff by Capaldi in that episode. And that pretty much seals the episode for a lot of people, I'm sure. So, I enjoyed this quite a bit. I thought it was great. I want to see the Zygons back.
Yeah, I'm curious. Can you put why you like this one a little less?
I think it's a little slower paced than the first part. I don't think it's as
Okay.
I don't think it's as you're not as the first part you had this paranoia permeating the overall tone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this episode, everything's kind of a little bit out in the open, and um, you kind of had it was great to see the Osgood and the Doctor working together. Is basically because Osgood is essentially the Doctor's companion in this episode, but
Yes.
but um, and Clara is essentially given the villain role in this episode as Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some. Um, I think the kind of a lot of things seem a little bit convoluted than they needed to be in the story for me. I don't know. It's just something seemed it didn't quite flow as well for me in this episode. So
Now,
like
see,
like I said, it's just
yeah,
it's just a little bit of a differential. It's not a big
yeah,
huge margin.
sure, I understand. I think what brought this up to the different level to me is obviously the Doctor's speech at the end
Right.
was amazing, and um, his interaction with Osgood at the end.
Right.
And then his interaction with Clara at the end, which we will talk about, which I think feeds your theory even more.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have to talk about that.
Okay.
But Clara talking to Clara was so well done to me.
Right.
That scene, along with the Doctors, those two brought it up to me. That because I just thought the whole back and forth of Bonnie and Clara, and the whole then I'll kill you. Well, you can't kill me, and the whole I won't you won't know that I'm lying, and the whole pulse thing
Mm-hmm.
back and forth was, I thought, clever, and it made for a really interesting scene, and this dynamic of her playing against herself.
Right.
And playing those different roles was just really well done.
Yeah, I thought Jenna Coleman did a really good job with this.
Yes.
Because essentially she's playing dual roles
Yes.
and against herself,
Right.
which had to be tricky.
Yeah. And at the end of the episode, and we're kind of going all over the place, but when she's playing, when they're in front of the two boxes,
Right.
Kate did not get as much room to shine. But Bonnie, the evil Clara, did.
Right.
And I thought her emotion she was giving and the give and take. We see the Doctor and Clara talking all the time and the give and take, but this was a different. It gave Jenna Coleman a chance to play a different character
Mm-hmm.
and to interact with the Doctor a different way, and just was amazing.
Right. Yeah, I think that might have been why I had a little trouble with this episode. Is that it just seemed to me that Bonnie kind of got off a little light compared to everything that she did.
Okay.
I mean, she blew up a plane. She's killed the pilot, and she's created all this paranoia, and she was responsible for like all those soldiers getting killed in episode 1.
Yeah.
And the Doctor is like, well, okay, I guess you could be another the replacement Zygon Osgood, and he seems pretty cool with it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I think.
Okay, fair enough. I could see that. I kind of embrace the Doctor of saying, because she covers that. She says, "You'll never forgive me," and he does. He said, "Yes, we will. You're one of us now."
Right.
I really, really well done. I liked Clara in her apartment, and I knew immediately that this was in her mind, right, in the pod.
Right.
This is toothpaste, which was kind of funny.
It was like the dream crabs. I kept waiting for the dream crabs to be revealed because this felt a lot like Last Christmas to me. That whole dream sequence.
It did, and I guess you aren't supposed to be able to read when you're sleeping.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of
like
you gibberish.
Right. Did you get in your notes what was clear on when she was reading the newspaper?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I know it's the Doctor trying to talk to her, right? or other things. Yeah, really well done. I say again, the red lipstick seemed very menacing. I was a little scared of Clara with the red lipsticks.
No, it worked for me. I like it.
Yeah, okay. Hey, you like a bad
I
girl.
do like a bad girl.
Is this, Charles, is this the first time we've seen someone who's in the Zygon shell, or has they established this in the past where they have a connection?
Right. Yeah. That was established back in Terra of the Zygons during the Tom Baker era, because you had Harry Sullivan, in the pod, and he gets impersonated as a Zygon. So yeah, but the whole premise was that you have to keep them alive in the pods, otherwise, the duplication doesn't work.
Do you like the fact that I knew you would know that?
I would hope you do by now.
Did you like that I have that faith?
This is episode 44. I would hope by now you would trust me on that.
One quick side note, one of the nicest compliments I've received recently is when Linda was training for her Ironman, she would set her alarm at 3:30 in the morning, and she would be out riding by 4 a.m.
Mhm.
And so she has a light on the front of her bike and a light on the back that both are rechargeable. So she would have to ride that day and then the next day ride again. So she would put the lights to charge, and I'd say, you go to bed before I do, I'll put them on. And she said, I didn't even look. I knew if you said you'd put the lights on that they would be there. And I was like driving, and it's like 5 to 4. I'm like, boy, I am screwed. If Jesse didn't remember to put on my lights. She goes, I didn't even check. And sure enough, they were there. So that was kind of nice. So that's how my feeling was.
So
like,
what you're telling me?
Oh, yeah,
So what you're telling me is we're like a married couple.
Well, that is no doubt that's the case. If you haven't figured that out yet, we are married in Hooness, and I cannot.
I think my wife Lori might have something to say about that, but.
Well, I think Linda would just call you you would call me. She would call you my who husband.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's kind of like you have a work wife, you have a work husband. I have a who husband. Because Karen's our podcast
exactly.
Mom. So yes, did you think of Jenny Sparks when you saw the Union Jack parachute?
No, I thought of James Bond because I thought of The Spy Who Loved Me with Roger Moore. That's right. That's exactly where that's out of.
Absolutely, but I did for some reason. I thought of Jenny Sparks.
Yeah, from the Authority. Yeah, the comic book.
Yes, and I said, am I right? And so I stopped the episode on my pad. Like, yeah, she wore a Union Jack. Of course you're right, Jesse. Why are you...
By that same token, you might as well just throw in Rose Tyler with a Union Jack t-shirt from The Empty Child with that.
Uh-huh. So, Charles, what is the design flaw of having an invisible watch?
The design flaw is that you can't find it.
Exactly.
Like you set it down the counter and you're like, okay, which counter did I set? Oh, that's just awkward. Where is it?
Charles, you're younger than I am, so you do not remember the 70s phase of the digital watch.
Yes, I do.
Were you?
I had a digital watch. I had a digital watch all through high school. Okay. I have a digital watch now.
Yes.
Although it's a little nicer with like a more adult band, but yeah.
Back in the day, it would be this black watch, and the time would only show when you push the little button. It would come out on red. So it was impractical. You could not just take your hand and look at the time. It took two hands to push, or you would kind of be able to push your hand up to push the button to see the time.
Well, it depended on which watch you had.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In high school in 75, 76, 77, it was black. And then later they became the digital watches that would show the time all the time.
Maybe that was the 80s. LCD. Maybe that was the 80s thing because, because that's when I got my.
So, yes, back in 75, 76, I would wear a black watch. And it would be an LCD display. You'd have to push a button to show you the time.
Tell us about the digital watches, Grandpa.
Exactly. What did you think of Osgood complimenting the doctor because she's such a big fan. Oh, I'd kill you
Yes,
right away if I was taking over the
adored that exchange, and I like the doctor's reaction to, like, you put some thought into this. And but it was a nice little, like, I mean, he kind of flips it back on her, you know, where at the end where they say goodbye, he tells her, like, well, I'm a big fan, which I thought was a nice little, you know, moment.
Yes, it was one of the reasons my allergies started acting up. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It,
allergies.
it was really
Right.
funny. Yes.
Right.
And it reminded me of some, oh God, years ago. Lynn and I were watching some kind of TV show. Doesn't matter what it was, but the bad guy got in trouble because they were spending money they shouldn't have spent.
Okay.
Right. And so I started talking to Linda about, yeah, see, if you're gonna, you would have to be subtle about it. If you were going to go through laundering money, like you would have to keep a job and you would pay your bills with your paycheck, and you'd buy like groceries with cash, and you could buy other things with cash that people couldn't track. And so you could eat out a lot and you could do a lot of nice things, and then they couldn't track the cash, and you just would not have, and then you could save money, and then later go buy a boat or something nice. And Linda looked over me. You've really thought about this laundry money than you should. Oh yeah, I'm just, some people daydream about winning the Olympics. I daydream about, hey, I'm now getting, $10,000 a month in cash under the table. How do I, not get suspicious?
Well,
with
anybody who
police?
needs to know anything about laundering money, just watch Breaking Bad, okay?
There you go. Absolutely. Um, the we've already talked about it, but I just adored Clara talking to Clara, and the idea of evil Clara talking to Pod Clara,
Bonnie and Clara.
The give and take.
It's Bonnie and Clara.
Yeah.
Not Bonnie and Clyde. It's Bonnie and Clara. You
Bonnie.
see that?
I see what you did there.
Yep.
That's great. Any thoughts about that scene that we haven't already discussed about?
No, but it's kind of I thought it was really interesting too. I thought Clara or Jenna Coleman was just brilliant in that scene, and you could see Clara actively trying to conceal the fact that maybe she's lying about something. Like maybe she's trying to control her pulse. I mean, if you notice, she keeps, while she's talking to Bonnie, she's holding her pulse to kind of gauge how it is, to see if she's giving anything away, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, and I did too, and I thought it was also really interesting to see her kind of at times Bonnie had the upper hand and then Clara had the upper hand, and that give and take was a lot of fun. So Basil is the doctor's first name?
No,
determined?
Of course not.
Maybe no.
Rule 1, the doctor lies. No, his name is not Basil.
Absolutely.
But how great was it that we finally got to get Osgood's first name, Petronella?
Yes.
And nobody's going to lie about having a first name Petronella.
No, absolutely not.
I put on Twitter the suggestion. Ness also got some retweets, quite a lot actually. That the all of a sudden after watching this episode, there's going to be like thousands of new cat owners naming their new cats Petronella.
Yes, I have no doubt about that. Very well done. So I thought it was very clever, the truth or consequences connection. They mentioned truth or consequences in the last episode, and Clara,
the New Mexico version, but then it relates to the Osgood boxes.
Right. Yeah, but Clara, admits she cheats because she reads the Trivial Pursuit cards because she wants to win.
Not that she's a control freak or anything.
Kind of no, and you get this whole that sends them there. We have that, and then when you open the Osgood boxes, you have the red and the blue, red pill, blue pill
in the Matrix.
Yes, that was deliberate.
Like, where's Morpheus?
Yes,
I have a red box or a blue box.
And in each box, there are 2 buttons, and one says truth, and the other says consequences. Any thoughts or theories on why they picked those 2 words?
Well, they tried to be clever with connecting it to the actual location. I think they just figured, well, okay, we've got this really interesting location, and then someone came up with the idea. Oh, wouldn't it be great? Now, either it was Peter Harness or Moffat, because Moffat co-wrote this second part. He didn't co-write the first part, but he co-wrote the second part. And if you notice, there's a scene in there where the Doctor acts like a game show host, where he's talking about the box.
Yes.
There was once back in the day, there was a game show called Truth or Consequences.
Yes,
so
there
I'm sure
was.
that was deliberate as well.
Yes, and they even talk about that because of that TV show is how New Mexico, the city, got the name. So really well done. So let's talk a little bit about the boxes have, if you push one button on the red, all the Zygons explode from inside, and then if you push the other one, a nuclear bomb goes off and everyone dies.
No, one box actually will remove the disguises of all 20 million Zygons on Earth, which starts a mass panic and will likely lead to war, while the other one will release a Zygon targeting nerve gas, the one that was created by Harry Sullivan, that will kill all the Zygons.
So I heard it a different way, so hate to disagree with you, but from my perspective, each box had 2 choices. On the red one button killed the Zygons. The other one, if you push the other button, a nuclear bomb
but you didn't know which one.
And the blue one, you didn't know which one. And on the blue, one button, all the Zygons will be revealed. The other one, all the Zygons will permanently turn into human because they lose their ability. So 2 different boxes, 2 different consequences. Both of them could be, take your guess. What do you want to do? And I thought that was brilliant. Talk about a, stalemate. Talk about detente. Wonderfully well done. Except it's all because rule number 1, the Doctor lies. Yes. What did you feel that the Doctor was it a little too much, his speech, or him, and he did not come across as a, Southern preacher, but he had that intensity of trying to convince someone this is what you need to do. This is, today no one dies. It is everyone lives, Rose. This is it. The
exactly. It's the everyone lives moment. It's the the Time Lord Victorious speech from The Waters of Mars. It's the Pandorica speech from, with the 11th Doctor, with Matt Smith's Doctor. So this is just Capaldi's, I'm going to, I'm standing up and saying, we're not, or, it's the War Doctor saying no more. So it's just very consistent with the Doctor, and also kind of gives Capaldi a moment to shine, which he does, spectacularly.
Oh, he knocks it out the park. Dude, kind of going back a little bit, did you think Kate was a Zygon, or did you suspect that she had gotten the upper hand?
I wasn't sure, to be honest with you.
I wasn't either.
I thought they edited that really well to make it look like, she could have been, because she's been, now it does, she was impersonated by Zygon in The Day of the Doctor. So it kind of would have felt a little repetitive had she been, but you weren't quite sure how it was going to turn out. It could have turned out either way. I'm glad it turned out that, oh, hey, Kate didn't get, it just showed how badass Kate is. And I love the fact that, she got to use the,
that was my
the
next
5
question.
rounds rapid. Yeah.
Can you please explain to us new Whovians the significance of the 5 rounds rapid, Charles?
5 rounds rapid is kind of like one of those old school Who references, like reverse the polarity of the neutron flow, or where the the Fifth Doctor would say good grief, or like oh my giddy aunt for the Second Doctor. This was like the Brigadier's catchphrase, essentially, in the sense that this first appeared in an episode called The Daemons, where he's telling like one of his officers there's it's kind of a supernatural episode with the Master, and you have this like kind of gargoyle kind of creature that's wreaking havoc, and the Brigadier tells one of his men as they're firing, like he says, "Chap with the wings, 5 rounds rapid," pointing at the gargoyle creature. So that 5 rounds rapid has kind of become like one of those like iconic Brigadier catchphrases. And they decided to carry that over here with Kate Stewart saying, well, how did she escape from that, Zygon? She said 5 rounds rapid, and which was a lovely nod to her dad, the Brigadier.
Absolutely. I thought that was awesome. I did not catch that, but I did love the fact that, boom, boom,
Yep.
boom, and showing that. I want to know, they had a lot of gotchas in this thing, and I thought that was a nice point too, right? Back and forth where the Doctor keeps, gotcha, and then I thought, Osgood at the end. Now, if Osgood is not, if in the previous episode, Osgood would not tell whether she was human or Zygon. And now then Bonnie, we know is Zygon, becomes Osgood again. So you either have 2 Osgood Zygons, or it's very clear the first one was human and the second one is Zygon. What's your thought?
My thought is that there's one human Osgood, and there's one Zygon Osgood, which used to be Bonnie. In the sense that I think that the original Zygon Osgood was the one that was killed by Missy in Death in Heaven.
Yes.
Right. I'm not entirely sold on the fact that, like, okay, we had those, like, you have to, you don't need the pods anymore to keep the duplication up. Because otherwise, why wouldn't they just kill Clara? So I'm not sold on it. So that kind of leads me to think. Also, if you think about it, if both of the Osgoods are Zygon, what would be the point of the détente?
Yes,
because supposedly it's their vagueness which helps sell this thing. So if both of them are Zygons, it doesn't really serve much purpose. And I have to think the Doctor is smart enough to figure out which one is human and which is a Zygon.
Well, and because it's very clear when Bonnie shows up, she isn't in the, she's wearing the sweater. She's cosplaying, a Doctor theme, but she does not look exactly like the original Osgood because, they don't have the same clothes on and such. So I like that, and I think it was well done. I do think it's a fair criticism
that Bonnie gets away with it.
That Bonnie off a little quick, but I do embrace, the Doctor's idea that forgiveness has to start somewhere. But
I don't think Kate Stewart would be very forgiving as much as the Doctor.
Well, and that's why
she was, in Day of the Doctor, she was willing to blow up all of London just to take out the Zygons. So,
and I do love that they wiped out Kate's memory, so she won't remember that the boxes are empty, and that she won't remember necessarily, that I don't know how much memory they lost, but I think she is going to forgive Bonnie and work through this out. I believe that's
possible.
Yeah, we'll see. Absolutely. I wanted to go to why. I love the Doctor's discussion of, what do you want? And she says war. And he says, okay. And they go through. I love his logic of going through, you're like a a toddler throwing a fit, you really don't know what you want. You're just kind of evolving that. Once again, I love when Doctor Who takes it to a different level. This was pretty deep topic. Any feelings on that?
The first episode, the Zygon Invasion, that was more like the paranoia, invasion into the body snatchers thriller. And with this episode, you kind of get the whole moral angle of like, well, it's almost like a war movie. And so, whether you should continue this war or actually start a war, really, between the humans and the Zygons. So, they're two different stories in tone, I think, but they're obviously because they've got so many related themes going on. I think that's what makes this story, work. And it's it again, it's Doctor Who having those throwing out those moral dilemmas to make you really sit there and think, and I think it works really well.
Yeah, I love that it is the whole discussion of, how do we do this? And similar to the last two episodes, we talked about they were not really two-parters. They just were two separate episodes with a common theme. This one was a two-part story, but it is very much different tone, and it worked for this. I think it flowed well enough versus the Under the Deep episode, the ghost one, where it's really quiet and they're under the sea, and then later they were on the sea, out in the open. The two tones did not flow.
Yeah, this one,
well
if you edit it together and aired it as like a movie or something, it would be, like if you like the four-parters back in the day. That if you edited those together to like hour and a half, and you edited these two 45-minute episodes into an hour and a half, I think it would flow really well together.
So, Charles, tell me why Osgood asked what the TARDIS stood for.
Well, because there have been some discrepancies about particularly the D in TARDIS, because originally, Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter, said it stood for like time and relative dimension in space. And at some point, I can't remember exactly where, it kind of like evolved into time and relative dimensions and dimensions, plural, in space. So, and then of course you had the thing in The Next Doctor, where you had the aerial balloon that was like tethered aerial, I can't release
developed
style,
in style.
You had that, so, and now you've got Capaldi throwing out another,
which was what did he say?
Yeah, I didn't
write it down.
Okay. Blah, blah, blah. No, of course I didn't write it down either. But it was totally and radically driving in space.
Yeah, traveling. Traveling and radically driving in space. Yes, which was awesome. Anything else in the episode? Then I want to talk about Clara.
Let me check my notes here. Let's see. We talked about the nerve gas. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's as far as no, we did get Harry Sullivan actually mentioned by name in this episode, because they call it Sullivan's gas. And there's a bit where the 12th Doctor refers to Sullivan being the imbecile, and that's a reference to Terror of the Zygons, or actually, no, I take that back. That's a reference to another Tom Baker episode story called Revenge of the Cybermen, where the Doctor shouts, "Harry Sullivan is an imbecile!" after Harry triggers this rock slide that, and then tries to remove this Cybermen's bomb from the Doctor without deactivating the booby trap first. So, that was a nice little nod to that. And that's
absolutely.
Go ahead. That's all I got.
All right. So you several episodes ago gave the theory that you think Clara
Yes.
is already dead, and that the doctor keeps going back and visiting her in her earlier timeline. And that's why he seems to be a little
Huggy.
more kind, huggy,
Right.
and kind to her. And might explain why, 100 voicemails.
Yeah,
something.
he's kind of
I don't know.
obsessively calling her, isn't he? Which again, he could have just
Yes.
traveled there, but that's just a little logic flaw of the story, plot hole.
Yeah.
But so what you
Yeah.
so I didn't see anything in this episode that counteracted that theory.
No, in fact, I think it fed it when he asks her. He does not say, but he does a version of my favorite. Can I have the room, please? I love political dramas when can we have the room, please? And they leave it. So he asks Clara to leave him alone with Osgood, and he asks, "Which one are you?" And then we find out that Bonnie is now Osgood again, and they're back together. And he asks her to go with him, and I love that she said, more than anything else, I want that more than anything else, but I think I need to stay here and protect the Earth.
Now, why would he be asking
sweet.
her if he's still traveling with Clara?
Good point.
Right?
Yes.
Unless he's had more than one companion, so it's possible. But I kind of doubt that he wants more than one companion around at the moment.
Yes, and I hate in a way that Bonnie became the new Clara, even though not Clara, new, Osgood, because it kind of sets up that she can't be a companion because both of them need to stay on Earth. And I love that actress. Yeah, and I love that actress and would love for her to get another trip in the TARDIS, another thing. And hopefully she will get another gig because I just think she's a really likable actress, and I'd like to see her on, TV doing something.
Well, the good thing is, she's still with Unit, so anytime they bring Unit back, and Kate, Stewart, and so Osgood could be there. So it's certainly possible we'll see Osgood again.
Yeah. Yay, Russell T Davies, can you write me a Unit?
Yeah, again, when are we getting a Unit spinoff? And we're getting this class thing. Makes no sense. What a waste of potential.
Right.
Kate's.
But if they hired her to be in the class thing, be a lot more happier if Osgood was a regular.
The class thing, unless she's okay.
I'm just saying. I'm just I'm throwing it out there, Charles. It would make me happier.
It's still early yet. Maybe we'll find a reason to like it.
Okay, yeah, but we will watch it because
whether we
that's
like
our
it
job
or not, to quote the Sixth Doctor.
Yes. So Clara says, "You must have thought I was dead," and the doctor said yes. And longest month of my life. And she says, "It's only been 5 minutes," and he says, "I'll be the judge of time."
I'm the Time Lord. I'm the Time Lord. I get to what's long.
Yeah, I think that feeds your theory that he knows what's going to happen or it has happened, and I don't know. It could be either way. He could know what's happening because of something else, but I believe it as in a true timey-wimey fashion the show has not done in a long time. We did that in The Impossible Astronaut a little bit, but this would be a really cool, since Jenna Coleman is leaving, we know that. How it would, I hope if they do this right, it will be just a really neat ending.
It feels totally like, as far as the Doctor's concerned, in his timeline, where he's at, she's already died. Clara, of course, in her timeline, hasn't died yet. And so, the audience is kind of following Clara on the slow path. So the Doctor's kind of the cheat. He's kind of like, we're getting these little portents of doom from the Doctor. And we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Unless it's a total fake out and Clara ends up all happy and the doctor just thought she was dead, but hey, guess what? She's alive. Until she grows old and dies, but there's that too.
Tell me, is there anything else we need to cover before we do our quotes?
I think that pretty much. I think we've got it. We've hit all the highlights.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go first on quotes this time.
Before I do that, do you want to read the speech, or do you want me to read the speech?
I want you to read the speech.
Okay.
Yes. I know you love reading the speeches, so I want you to read the speech.
I didn't want to step on your toes. I was trying to I was trying to be kind.
That's good.
You've had a rough week, so I thought I'd give you the option. All right. So the speech. I don't understand. Are you kidding? Me, of course I understand. I mean, you do call this a war? This funny little thing? This is not a war. I fought in a bigger war than you will ever know. I did worse things than you could ever imagine. And when I close my eyes, I hear more screams than anyone could ever be able to count. And do you know what you do with all that pain? Shall I tell you where you put it? You hold it tight until it burns in your hand. And then you say this: no one else will have to live like this. No one else will have to feel this pain. Not on my watch. The doctor drops the mic, walks off.
Yes. Do you have another one you want to share?
Yeah. One of the lines I really loved was, I'm over 2,000 years old. I'm old enough to be your messiah.
Yes. I love the Osgood and him's discussion. Yes. London, what a dump. London's okay. No, it's not. It's a dump. You spend an awful time here considering it's a dump. And he goes, I spent an awful lot of time being kidnapped, tortured, shot at, exterminated. Doesn't mean I like it. Because I always, and I think back of the Big Bang Theory of going, for someone who can go all of space and time, he sure does spend a lot of time in modern London. That kind of talk will get you where you can't go to Who Fest. And then I do love the only way anyone can live in peace is if they're prepared to forgive.
That's a great line.
So, yeah, I love that line, and it's so doctorish. All right.
I've got one more quote.
Rating?
Okay. The doctor is talking to Bonnie, and he says, do you know what thinking is? It's just a fancy word for changing your mind.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
So,
yes, very well done.
Rating.
Okay, rating.
I give this one 8.5 out of 10. See, I told you I liked it. I just didn't like it. It's just a hair off. 8.5 out of 10 invisible watches.
I give it 10 out of 10 duct taped eyeglasses. Nice. I love this episode. I also thought about 10 out of 10 Union Jack parachutes.
That one too. Surprised you didn't do Osgood
this boxes. Is. Oh yeah, I thought you would, obvious, so that's why.
I'm glad I went with
Yes, exactly. Really great stuff. So kind of fun that we kind of flip-flopped. You liked the first one better, and I like the second one, but we both together. I mean, these are definitely nines.
Ratings, so yeah, we both love this two-part.
Yeah, bottom line. Yeah, absolutely. So we got a little bit of news.
You want to reverse the polarity?
Actually,
I've got to reverse.
Oh yes,
the polarity
please
for
reverse
this
the
one
polarity.
Too. This one's
okay.
Just
good
really
deal.
Easy, for the sake of time, but we're just going to go back a couple years to the Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special from 2013, written by Stephen Moffat, of course. You know the story pretty much. The 11th Doctor and Clara get airlifted by Kate Stewart, Osgood and Unit, and they end up getting taken to the National Gallery in London, where they're taken to an undergallery containing three-dimensional paintings with Time Lord that were created with Time Lord stasis cubes. Clara learns that Zygons from Elizabethan England used these cubes to enter the paintings and emerged in 2013, which is how they got here in the first place, taking on forms of unit personnel. Learning of the Zygon plan to conquer Earth, Kate locks herself in Unit's Black Archive. So we got the Black Archive again. And then she starts this countdown, which will detonate a nuclear warhead that will destroy London and the Zygons. So a little bit of overkill there, Kate.
Yes.
But which she's perfectly willing to do in this episode as well. the Ward, 10th, and 11th Doctors join forces, of course, and they use the Black Archive's mind-wiping equipment to make Unit and the Zygons temporarily unaware of which is which of course leads into this story. And the countdown is stopped, and a peace treaty is negotiated with the Zygons. So it's definitely pretty much, if you like this two-parter, I mean, you pretty much have to watch The Day of the Doctor to see where this started.
Well, and also the doctor talks about, I had a chance, my own box, and so it talks about that, and that is one of the great moments when I have to push the button, but you don't have to do it alone anymore. And so absolutely just wonderful and amazing.
Thank you.
Good, well done.
Now you can do your news thing.
Now, so we got a little bit of news. There is a late Christmas present or holiday present for those of you who do not celebrate. We are going to get to see Alex Kingston, Be Still My Heart, and that Peter Capaldi guy on the big screen, don't we?
They officially announced Fathom Events, the people that have held or sponsored these episodes where we got to see Deep Breath or the Day of the Doctor on the big screen, are doing another Fathom Events on, I think it's the 28th of December, a few days after Christmas, where we get to see the 2015 Christmas special. We don't know the title yet, so I can't call it by the title. But yeah, we get the new Christmas special. We get to see that on the big screen, and like you said, you got Alex Kingston as River Song, so I'm sure that's going to be loads of fun to watch.
Yeah. There's also a 15-minute behind-the-scenes making-of featurette and a exclusive interview with Alex Kingston. So it will be get your Doctor Who Christmas sweater and head out.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get my tickets as they go on sale. We're recording this on, Thursday, what is today? The 12th. So yeah, Friday the 13th, they go on sale in the U.S. So obviously that's going to be a long time after when you finally hear this, it's going to be after the 13th. So you better hurry and get your tickets.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And just in case you don't know, here's the description of the Christmas special so far. It's Christmas Day in the future, and the TARDIS is parked on a snowy village street covered in icicles, awaiting its next adventure. Time traveler River Song meets her husband's new incarnation in the form of Peter Capaldi for the first time this Christmas.
Yay, that's going to be great.
Yay!
Now, did you notice they had released a promo image for the Christmas special? With the 12th Doctor with the TARDIS, and there's that Christmas tree in the background. Did you happen to notice, if you've seen this image, that the TARDIS looks kind of old and beaten up?
It does, and the Doctor is in crushed red instead of his normal dark.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what happens to the TARDIS, why it looks so in desperate need of a paint job.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Cannot wait. What I am a little bit sad about is we are ripping through this season.
We're 3/4 through. For those of you keeping score at home.
Yeah. Yes.
4 episodes to go.
4 episodes left.
So we get Sleep No More next, which is going to be. I'm not sure about this one because it's going to be a shaky cam. I hate shaky cam. Found footage episode, but hopefully I will be pleasantly surprised. It's written by Mark Gatiss, so we'll see where it goes.
Hey, well, that's good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Take your Benadryl and be ready. Charles, how can people find you?
Or the Dramamine, that's what I'm going to be taking. At Charles Skaggs on Twitter. At Charles Skaggs on Instagram. Google Plus for you crazy kids in the Google Plus. And my blog of geeky things, Damn Good Coffee, and Hot, as well as Facebook, of course. I'm on Facebook. And Jesse, where can they reach you?
Well, before that, tell me about, aren't you doing another podcast that you may cover possible. 1 or 2 shows?
There's the Fandom Zone podcast that I do with Next Stop Everywhere special guest companion extreme, Karen Lindsay. If you enjoy comic books on TV shows, and Lord knows there are a lot of them right now, We're currently covering 7 shows in 1 week. Not sure how we're going to do that, but it's kind of crazy. So, but if you love comic books on TV,
Yes.
please check us out. We could definitely use some likes on Facebook, and because we're only like a 58, we could definitely use some love there. And just as you can help out our Next Stop Everywhere Facebook page, give us some likes there. We could use those as well.
Absolutely. And please go to iTunes and rate and review us, or on Stitcher. We do not have any reviews on Stitcher, so I would love someone to say nice things about us at Next Stop Everywhere, about this. I can be reached at Jesse Jackson DFW
on Twitter. Yes,
and I am on Twitter. Jesse Jackson at. I'm also on Facebook, and Stephanie Kroll, one of our Facebook friends, had many nice things to say about us. I was posting in my month of gratitude about podcasting, and she said that she loves Charles and I, and we are her favorite Who companion.
Well, Stephanie, you're officially
our
favorite Who companion now, because you were kind enough to say that. So cheers to you.
Absolutely. And I am up to 16 episodes of Set Lusting Bruce. And I am hoping, we just had, last week as recording this, the blog master of Blogness on the Edge of Town, which is a national Bruce Springsteen international podcast. Peter was on the episode with me and had a lot of great stories about his blog and talked about it. And we've done a lot of good episodes, so we appreciate any love you can give to that. It's not just about Bruce Springsteen, though it's mostly about Bruce Springsteen. I just released this week an episode talking to Kevin, who's the Southgate Media, does some blogs on us, his Pink Floyd fandom. That's cool. So that was always fun.
Yes.
So Charles, it's going to have to be a week before we record again.
No, because
it's going to be odd.
Doctor Who episode airing on Saturday. So
that's right.
Actually, it would, if we record back on, if we get back on track, we could record in just 3 days.
Well, and the Cowboys play at noon, so we probably could do. We could get a Sunday evening recording. So thank you, Charles, as always, your flexibility. And we will be talking soon about what we're going to do after the season ends.
Yep.
And we'll probably do some more reverse
and we
polarities
have a 50th anniversary, our 50th episode coming up. We should do something for that. And we also have this 52nd anniversary of Doctor Who on the 23rd of November. So keep that in mind.
Right. And we would like to get some more guest hosts. That was fun.
Yes.
Tough to schedule if you pull back, but a lot of fun once we get everyone on the show. So all right, keep us tuned. For now, we're going to say, thank you, Charles. Thank you, listeners. Keep hope alive, and say lots of impossible things happen when you pass through time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.